Why do you cancel 6 when you play Jean Grey? I get this question quite often, and I also get the suggestion to let 6 play out until her wings pop. I've mentioned in a lot of my How to ABL and How to ABX videos that with her rotation, I instantly cancel 6, and I did this based upon feedback from a Tanner in After 5 Avengers, and ever since I've done that, I've scored more. So let me explain to you why I think it's working, and give you some suggestions and advice when you're playing Jean Grey on a whole. So what are you actually getting out of 6? Click the skill and read what it's doing. So it's going to apply this to the enemy. You're going to do burn damage by 30%. You're going to increase all basic defenses by 10%. You have stun, you have snared. You're going to remove active buffs. You're going to silence. You're going to do negative 5.2% decrease of fire resistance, which is going to stack up to 40%. All of these have seconds for how long they're applying for, so it applies and then it slowly fades away over that many seconds. Then it applies to self, 100% chance to penetrate for 9 seconds, and then that goes away. You have a 100% chance to penetrate with fire immunity effect. You have invincibility, increase all basic attacks by 50%, and then you're doing actual fire damage here for 155% of whatever your energy attack is. All of this, a lot of this actually applies as soon as you hit the skill. So, by spamming your skills, you're recharging this and using this over and over again. If you let 6 pop, you are only doing all of that on just the 6, and then you gotta wait, and then you gotta use all your skills to recharge it. By canceling it, and here I'm gonna start doing skills while I'm talking, by canceling it, what you're gonna end up doing is you are going to be able to recharge and use that regularly with all of your skills spamming with those active buffs. And honestly, I think that's pretty much what you're going for, and I think that's why it's working. So I've got 6 charged. See in the top left corner, you see these numbers and they're counting down. If you click on them, you can see what those buffs are, and that's that countdown timer. So when it says the 7 seconds or 4 seconds, it'll disappear after a short amount of time. If I click 1 here, there's no active buffs up there. So as an example, I'm going to click 6-1. And I want you to see what active buffs I get instantly from 6 without waiting for the wings to pop. So let me do a 6-1. Now look, I've got all of those buffs that we just talked about are up there in the top left corner. All of those are applying. So by going through all of my other skills, I have all of the active buffs from 6 applying to all of my other skills for a few seconds. And if you see, it actually ends up recharging pretty quick. So that's using all the skills once, and then I'm going to use 1 and 2 right away. So I'm using those twice. And now I'm going to go through the skills again. Boom, it's recharged, and it's ready to use again. So you're not really having to wait too long to constantly almost spam your 6 as well. Now watch what happens when I let 6 play out. So those buffs come in right away. All of those come in right away. No additional buffs. So all you're doing is creating that ring of fire, and even though you can cancel it and stuff, it drags out how long before you can cast your 6 again, and your 7. And remember, if you're tier 4, you have that striker skill. So there's a benefit there. But as always, if you're going to try a rotation, experiment yourself. Try it at least 4 or 5 times, minimum. Same build, same striker, same supports. Same game mode. Do it at least 5 times to really determine if that's a good rotation for you, because there's going to be randomness with that spam. So let's go over here and let's go into Arena. Let's go into Alliance Battle. Let's go into Legendary mode, where I scored 10.3 million with this team. And I'm going to go ahead, and this time I'm going to... Now I'll go ahead and change the skills out. I'll give the better character. So usually you want to use Thor here as your striker. And she does have it at maxed ring, so she gets the highest skill possible. And he comes and does elemental damage and does a lot of AoE effect. And apparently elemental damage is really good against Surtur. So I'm going to go up here too. I'm going to turn down my graphics to very low. That will help with some of the lag that I'll get on my emulator. And then we're going to go ahead and do 2 runs. Now, like I said, do 5, but I don't want to waste your time and have you see me do 10 runs just to show you the difference between the 2 rotations. So the first rotation I'm going to do is I'm going to spam cancel everything, right? So as soon as it's ready, I'm hitting it. The only thing I'm going to wait on is like half fraction of a second for 5, and for 3 just to make sure the attack's coming out. But look, as soon as I get this and as soon as something's cancelable, I'm not even waiting for the wings to pop. And you can see in the top left corner, you can see above the enemy bar, all of these different buffs that are being activated through all of these different skills as often as possible. So now he's here in the center, and I'm going to pop all of these skills again and try to get these cancels off. There we go. I'm pretty much not waiting for anything. I have 2 cancel skills, which is 1 and 6. Make sure I'm picking up those orbs on the way. Maybe we should actually go through and count how many times that I'm hitting 7. Oops, that's not good. You want to get close. You want to be able to spam cancel. If he slips away while you're in the middle of an animation, it's going to hurt you too. That's the other thing to keep in mind. If you're using that 6 and letting it play out, you're locked in place. You're not spam canceling if Surtur runs away to the other side of the arena, and that's going to affect your score too if you can't spam cancel. Should have hit that 7 first for a little bit more damage, but that's alright. We'll make it work still. Again, there's going to be some random involved. How many times you get hit is going to affect your score too. That's why I recommend playing any rotation that you learn at least 5 times, just to make sure you can get the most out of it. You also have to give yourself enough time to get used to rotations. With a spam cancel like this, it's a little bit easier to get used to. When there's timing on proccing and rotations, sometimes it's better to just master that first before you really decide if it's going to work or not. Alright. And like I said, note that 10 million up in the top corner, that was with this exact team. So I'm curious how much lower I'm going to score this time, because that is the highest I have ever scored with Gene. So there's not a consistency here. Here's my 10 mil again. Okay, so 10.2 million. Very close to what I did last time. Not too shabby. Let's go ahead and try this again. And this time, we are going to let 6 play out until the wings pop. Now, why till the wings pop? Because when the wings pop, if you cancel, that huge ring of fire that you create stays there and does burn damage when people walk through it. My theory is that that burn damage is just not that powerful, and locking yourself down and taking that long to continue to recharge 6 to use again is what hurts your score. But in either case, my score is getting hurt. Alright. Same thing, but we're going to let 6 play out. So wait, wings right there, pop. And I know it's hard to see the animation, but there is, when I turn the graphics down, it's hard to see. You just want to wait until she spreads her wings. That's what you're waiting for. Right here. Turning on SFX or turning up your graphics do not change your score. If anybody's telling you that, they're lying. The only thing that turning on SFX does is it allows you to see your animations a little bit different from a different angle, gives you different visual cues on when to cancel stuff. But it is not required. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pick that up first. Every time we're going to pop those wings. This is going to hurt here because I just saw him dash away. So that keeps me from preventing me from using the 6 the proper way. Okay, he's going to jump center. Okay. Last big boost for Odin's Force. If you wanted, you could probably let 6 play out if all of your other skills are on cooldown if you want to give it like a half second for the wings to pop. But it really is not going to give you that big of an advantage. There you go. So how much of a difference did that really make? So the last run that you saw was 10.2, so we're talking 20,000. Compared to the highest score I had, just under 200,000. What is that, like 180,000 more? So it's not like a huge game-breaking difference. But the trend that I've noticed is that I have consistently scored less by waiting for 6 to pop. And the times that it really hurts me the most is when he zaps away and he's not even taking the damage, or I can't cancel to get all the other spam skills to recharge it. But this is why I'm saying to do it multiple times. That is too close of a difference, and that is probably the most I've scored by letting 6 delay. So if you do multiple runs and you determine what rotation works for you, stick with that rotation. If somebody's telling you it's different, there's some variance in this game. There's some random in this game, and depending on how your Pierce is set up and your cards and your strikers and which characters you're using, there's going to be some variance. So find what works for you, test everything out, make up your own mind. Don't let other people play your account or play your game. But anyway, I just wanted to answer with some data, some visual data, why I play the way that I do and why I make the suggestion I do. But even with how close those are, and even with the random involved, you can see that by not waiting on the 6, it doesn't make that big of a difference. So it's not important that you focus on waiting for the 6. It's not going to hurt your score that much, apparently, according to these 2 runs. But ultimately, I would, like I said, ultimately I would do 10 runs, 5 of each, then do a comparison, write down all the numbers, see what the difference was, because there's a lot of factors that are going to play in how many times you get hit, how quickly Surge is moving around the screen, if you can cancel all your skills, did you use them at the right time, did you save for Odin Force before you hit your 6, like there's a lot of different things to take into account here as well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like I said, I think they're too close that it really doesn't matter that much, and I advise you, in my personal opinion, don't wait for 6. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. And in my testing, it's actually hurt you a little bit. Even if it's minor, it's still a little bit less from what I've seen. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.